spent the last 4 months building a 1959 Les Paul. I got a little bit more work before I do the finishing. I realized I made a mistake. Can't believe I overlooked this, but it has to be corrected before I can finish this guitar. So stick around. I couldn't wait to jump into carving this neck. I start out at the 1st fret location and file it down to the correct measurement, and then I move down to the 11th fret location and file that down to its correct dimension. Then, using a file and a straight edge wrapped with sandpaper, I connect those 2 points and make sure it's perfectly flat. Now, the process in carving the neck profile is something that I don't think really matters how you do it as long as you get the end result that you want. I use files, sandpaper, sanding sticks, pretty much anything and everything to achieve the end result that I'm looking for. This is the part of the process that brought out my artistic and creative side. I really enjoyed this process, probably the most out of building this whole guitar. Now the fret top markers go in with a little bit of fish glue. I didn't get around to leveling these frets after I installed them, so here I'm just running a pretty long sanding beam and making sure that they're perfectly level with each other before I crown them and polish them. Now I gotta bind the body of the guitar, and in this cutaway it's a little bit tight, so this binding is really thick. I need to help it along with a heat gun. Glue all the rest of the binding down. It'll follow the track without having to heat it up. Then I'm going to take surgical tubing and pretend I know what I'm doing and try to hold all this binding in place while the glue sets. I gotta drill this 1-inch Forstner bit 2 inches deep. Routing these control cavities, I'm not gonna lie, is a little scary. I was taking little cuts in the beginning, but I got my courage up the more I kept doing this. Okay, so I was routing this pocket, and I discovered up here. Oops, major mess up, I should say. I'm kind of discovering, I'm looking at the plans, I went to the depth that is on the plans, and it's showing that this should be at the right depth. However, take a look inside there. These access holes look a little bit like the material behind it looks really thick, and it doesn't look like it's at the right depth. And after I measure the thickness of this, I'm discovering it's about 100 thousandths too thick, which is going to add a lot of weight to this guitar and just a thickness that may be a little odd. So I already have the outside routed, radiused. It's pretty much finished. So I got to take 100 thousandths off the back of this. 100 thousandths. 100 thousandths. I'm gonna have nightmares about that number. I think what I've come up with is I'm gonna use the router and I'm gonna take it off the back. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. At some point I'm gonna end up with an island that I'm gonna need to remove. I have an idea in my head, but I'm gonna kind of cross that bridge when I come to it. I'm just gonna go for it. I have no other choice at this point. I I gotta take 100 thousandths off the back of this. Man, this sucks, but here goes. Okay, I got that left. It ain't pretty. I knew I was gonna have some sanding to do. Just double check something here. Yep, that's gonna be perfect now. All right, I'm gonna change the setup so my clamp is on the opposite side, and then I'll just continue. Okay, now I'm down to this little bit here. So now I just need to build something up off to the side so I can take this out. Okay, so I just have this double face tape down. I adjusted my depth for the thickness of that board. Okay, close enough. Now I can sand it flat, and then I gotta redo the radius, and then I'm back in business. Here I'm getting set up to route this. The bottom of this cavity has a 7.5 degree taper. And so I made these two 7.5 degree wedges. And I'm gonna double face tape everything down so I can hopefully route this at the correct angle. I got my router with a 1/2 inch bit. It's not a follow bearing bit. I'm just gonna use the shaft against the top of the template, the side of the template rather. Let me set the depth correctly. I'm gonna do this in a couple of passes because it's a deep pocket and it's a little bit scary. Here goes. I think that's it. I can see the maple coming through. So here's the little route I just did. It's at that angle and you can see the maple cap coming through. So I don't want to go any deeper than that. So that cavity is done other than just for the cover route. Next I got to do the switch plate. Okay, now it's got a little routing to do. Get down in there with a little bit and route that out. I think this has to be 1.5 inches as well. Let me double check the diameter on that. Okay, now here's the moment that I've been waiting for. I'm sure you've all been waiting for as well. I'm ready to glue in this neck. I got some hide glue heating up. As soon as that comes up to 140, it's almost there. And I'm ready to glue this in. Okay, it's at 140 degrees. I'm ready to glue it in. Gonna leave that right there to dry. Routing the pickup cavities went pretty smooth, although I thought I could just route it in like 1/4 inch lifts, but that seemed like it was going to be too time consuming, so I roughed it out here with a Forstner bit, removing a majority of the material, and then I can route it out much smoother. is the routs completed. Went a little bit deep with a couple of Forstner bit steps here. And I ended up doing these little channels here with just a Forstner bit, so you see the little tips from the bit. But all in all, the right size, the right place, that'll work. Pretty much whole build right there, all the woodworking side of it. Well, like I said, it took me 4 months to build this Les Paul, and it's still not quite done. Now that's left to do is paint and finish setup. So thanks for joining me. This concludes part 5 of this series. If you missed any of the previous episodes and you want to check them out, I have a playlist set up on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description for that. And if you made it this far in the series, in the video, it's free. Just hit that subscribe button and give me a like. It helps the channel. That's all for now. Catch you in the next one. See ya.